Hello, everyone. This is Tom from Crash the Net, and I am honored to be joined today by Iowa Wild star Adam Beckman. Adam, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I want to start off by saying thank you for taking the time for me to interview today. It's an honor, and I'm really looking forward to this.
No problem. My pleasure.
The first question I have, just how are things going in Iowa? How's the season going?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a ton of fun. Obviously, it's just an adjustment year. I think for myself, just at the beginning, just trying to continue to get better and adjust to the pro game. But it's been a ton of fun with the players and the coaching staff just being here, and I think our team is really headed in the right direction right now.
Tell us a little bit about yourself for the people that watch that aren't familiar with you. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and just who is Adam Beckman?
Yeah, I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's in Canada. I come from a family of five. I got an older brother and an older sister. I'm the youngest. I got two dogs at home, and then my parents, Dale and Janet, are at home, and that's where I live with in the summers.
So, how did you get into hockey? What kind of drove you to that passion of wanting to be a hockey player?
Yeah, like I think in my older brother and older sister both played hockey when I was kind of growing up or just starting to, and obviously my dad played hockey growing up and at a pretty decent high level, and then my mom just was around it, and I think it's kind of one of those things as a Canadian kid you just kind of grow into, and that's kind of how it happened for myself.
Just kind of was one of those that kind of got in your blood type of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
So were there any players that you kind of like looked up to? For myself, I never played, but I grew up kind of in the Gretzky generation, always out on the driveway, pretending you're weighing out there.
Yeah, I think for me, growing up, it was always kind of Sidney Crosby. I think that was always the guy that I always kind of looked up to and watched, and even still do. Obviously, he's a remarkable player, and he just finds a way to be successful all the time in different ways. So I think that's kind of the guy that I always looked up to as a kid, and just kind of was my favorite player and stuff like that.
Were you able to see some highlights today? His 500th goal he just got last night.
Yeah, exactly. This was pretty cool seeing that.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your time in Spokane? What was that like? You were WHL Player of the Year in 2018, correct?
Yeah, yeah. It was Spokane was awesome for me. I think my whole time there was a ton of fun. I've got a bunch of friends and guys who I consider family that I'll have probably for a lifetime. And then obviously my billets and stuff were awesome, and my coaches and stuff. So it was a ton of fun. I think it's an awesome city and a great place to play. So getting the chance to play there and get drafted there was it was awesome, and I'm very thankful for those years.
So, kind of going off what you said about being drafted there, can you tell us a little about what draft day was like with the Minnesota Wild? Prior to that, did you have any conversations with the GM? Did you kind of know where you were going on draft day?
Yeah, I was at the draft. It was in Vancouver. It was kind of a whirlwind day of emotions and stuff like that. I think you just never know exactly what's going to happen, and I think that's kind of why it's such a whirlwind. I think for myself, I kind of had an idea of kind of the range that I felt like I was probably going to get drafted, but like I said, you truly don't know. Um, I talked to Minnesota a little bit, but it's so hard to say. I wouldn't have probably put them at the top of my list of people who I thought were going to take me, but obviously when they did, I was super relieved and thankful and happy.
I've seen some videos of you on draft day, and just the smile on your face, you could tell that you were just really excited to be going to Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
So prior to the season, had you ever been to the state of Iowa before? Was there anything that you wanted to see in the state that maybe you hadn't seen before?
Uh, um, to be honest, I didn't really know a whole heck of a lot about Iowa. Actually, it's one of the guys I played with in junior was from Bettendorf, but so I just kind of know a little bit about it, but I wasn't too familiar with much of the stuff that goes on. So, not really, nothing too crazy was on my mind when I came.
So being here in Iowa now, is there anything that you want to go do that maybe you haven't had a chance to do yet? That's kind of on your Iowa checklist.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that a lot of guys mention is like the Field of Dreams. I know it's a little bit far away, but I think, maybe once the weather gets nice, it'd be something cool to check out. I'm not really too sure. That's probably one of the things at the top of my list, though.
Were you able to watch the Field of Dreams game this year then, or?
No, I didn't end up watching it, but I was obviously seeing the movie, and it'd just be kind of cool to go check it out, I think.
So I'll admit, I think the last time I was there was probably in third grade. So I'd love to be able to take my son there someday and just kind of let him run around the bases too.
Yeah.
So who would you say you probably have the best chemistry with on your team, like with your line mates?
Yeah, I think, I've kind of played with a lot of different guys throughout the lineup and stuff like that. So just, everybody, I think, in our power play, we kind of have a little bit of chemistry going just with our group, and we try to, build off of that every day. And I think that's, that kind of that consists of Marco Rossi, Mitchell Chafee, and Mason Shaw, and then the D's kind of been Joe Hicketts and Kalen Addison. And I think that's one of the big places where we try to really work on kind of creating chemistry. But all around the ice, I think you're just trying to find different ways. The turnover in the lineup so different all the time that it's hard to get super comfortable with somebody.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that before you popped on, just with the taxi squad and the call ups and stuff. But
Yeah.
that is definitely good company to have. I know those are all fan favorites. I get asked questions about them all the time. Hey, have you heard what's going on with this guy? And it's like sometimes I don't know as much as you guys might know also.
Yeah.
Um, so you made your NHL debut on October 30th, correct?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? What was that like being able to step on the big ice for the first time?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think you can't really put into words kind of how weird it feels, kind of just because you think about it for such a long time and you dream about it, and then to have it happen, it's pretty cool to kind of just see it all come to fruition, and just at the same time just get a little bit of a taste of it is good to kind of help you realize how bad you want to get there, and hopefully stay there at some point.
So were you able to have family and friends in attendance for that game then?
Yeah, my parents ended up making up. They had a busy day in the airport, but they ended up making it there for the game, so it's pretty cool.
That's always fun though to be able to have
Yeah,
those people there. So
absolutely.
just kind of looking at your season so far, what has been like? Is that kind of your most memorable thing so far this season, or do you kind of have another goal you're aiming for?
I think for our group here, obviously our goal is to make the playoffs, obviously, and win the Calder Cup. I think that's kind of been the goal from the get go, and I think that's what we strive for every day. Um, and that's kind of how it is at the rink every day. You just got to keep your eyes on that. I think for myself, just when obviously, I think probably my favorite moment was getting that chance to make my NHL debut, but just kind of focused on being here and trying to get better every day is the biggest thing for myself.
So one of the things I did do is I asked some of the fans if they could ask you anything, what would they want to know? So I do have some questions if you're willing to kind of look at some of
Yeah.
them. So one of the questions that I get quite a bit that people wanted me to ask is what's your favorite thing about Des Moines? What does Adam Beckman like to do on a day off?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the biggest thing for me is just kind of, it's a big city, but it's not. And I think that's one of my favorite things about it. You're kind of close to pretty well everybody, and you can get together with the guys as much as you can, or go for coffee and hang out. And I think that's one of the nicest parts for me is like, although it's still a big city, and there's always different things you can do, but it's still kind of got that same feel where you can get together and do stuff pretty easily.
Mhm. We used to where we lived, we were about an hour away, so we used to love frequenting Des Moines quite a bit, and it seemed like it
Mhm.
just had everything for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So another question I had is people want to know who was the biggest joker on the team? Who's the guy that kind of likes to mess around and joke and pull pranks and stuff?
Yeah. There's quite a few guys. Joe Hicketts kind of likes to stir the pot quite a bit. Mason Shaw, he's always kind of in the middle of it too. And I don't know, our group's pretty funny. Like everybody's kind of always kind of having fun or giggling we're joking around with guys, all the time. So it's pretty fun.
Have you been on the receiving end of one of those jokes then, or?
Oh yeah, I usually get it a little bit. Obviously being one of the younger guys, I kind of probably get it the big brunt of it sometimes. So yeah, I've definitely been on the wrong end of it.
Have you learned to kind of give it back too then, or?
Yeah, you got to be careful, but sometimes there's some guys that aren't afraid to do some stuff that even myself that I probably wouldn't do. So you got to be careful with how far you go.
So another question people want to know is, do you have a favorite like kind of go-to warm-up song or like a go-to playlist that you enjoy kind of getting ready for the game?
I don't have like a specific song, but I like to listen to, during the day, country music. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. And then, closer towards the game, a little bit of rock and rap, but I'm not too picky on exactly what the song is.
Any certain concerts in that genre that kind of stick out as that's the best concert you've ever been to?
That's a good question. I haven't been to a ton of concerts in my life, but I went to Thomas Rhett at home. That was a pretty cool concert. Been a Nickelback. That was kind of a little bit of a curveball. It wasn't something that I probably would have like imagined myself going to, but when I went, it was unbelievable, and I didn't realize how good he was. So those would
Yeah,
probably be the two concerts that I can recall at least.
my wife and I we saw Nickelback a couple years back at the Iowa State Fair, and I would have to say that was probably one of my favorite
Yeah,
concerts ever.
he was unreal.
So another question that came up is some of the people were wanting to know what are some of the struggles you guys face going long periods in between games, and how do you keep yourself sharp and ready to go between games?
Yeah, I think that's just kind of the thing with becoming a pro. You gotta be able to make yourself ready, on any given night. And I think, some nights you play three in a row or three games in 4 days, or like you said, you might get 6 or 7 days off. So you just gotta, try and make yourself the most ready to go every single night. And I think that's kind of the focus, no matter what the situation is. You just gotta try and adjust to it and be ready to go on any given night, like I said.
So kind of going along those lines, would you rather have like kind of a jam-packed schedule with, games back to back, or do you like kind of the longer breaks as you look at the schedule for the year?
I like to play. I think that's just kind of my DNA. I like to be around the game and playing games as much as possible. So the more jam packed, the better. I think. Maybe that's just a young person thing, though.
So one of the questions that actually I had, if you could score on any goalie in the NHL, who's kind of the goalie that you would love to be able to score on?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, huh. I think like growing up, I always watched like the big studs in my generation were like Luongo or Fleury, and obviously Luongo's not playing, so Fleury still is. So kind of Kalen Addison we always joke about it because he did score on Marc-Andre Fleury with like a real nice slap shot. So that'd be pretty cool to score on him.
So slap shot the way you'd rather go on Flurry or five
Probably
hole.
just anything. But I just think it's funny because Addy did score.
So you heard it here first. Adam Beckman calling out Flurry for.
No.
I'm just, um, so we kind of already talked about where you'd want to go outside of Des Moines. One of my friends wanted to know. He visits the games quite often, and he would wanted to ask you: is there a certain reason why you picked your number for this year, or was it just kind of the luck of the draw? Does the number 11 have any significance to you?
It was a little bit of both. Like, I wore 34 in junior, and I kind of grew fond of that number, but um, it wasn't really available this year. And then when I was young, I wore 11 a little bit, and that's kind of one of the numbers that was available. So it just like I kind of had a few choices, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm familiar with that one. So obviously, I like the number 11. Growing up, you didn't have a ton of choices either. It was kind of only up to 22-ish. So I always wore 11, usually. So that's kind of the significance of it, I guess.
Are there any superstitions or like pre-game rituals that you kind of get ready for each game that you make sure you always do?
I don't think there's anything like too crazy. I just kind of have the same type of routine. Like it stays pretty similar no matter what. Kind of follow that, eat the same things, kind of do things at the same time, that type of thing.
So after you guys have had a loss, like one that you guys are like, man, we should have had that in the bag. How do you guys kind of handle that and get regrouped?
Yeah, it's difficult, but that's kind of something you have to deal with. Like you said, you play so often, or if you're playing games in bunches, you can't kind of dwell on it. So I think for us, we just try to learn from it, but at the same time, kind of forget about it as quick as we can, and take the takeaways that are going to help us going forward, and bring that with us, in the next coming days, or whether it's practice or a game the next night.
What's the best thing about the fans so far this season?
I think just showing up and being loud, and making the game so enjoyable is probably the biggest thing. Just obviously, anytime you get a chance to play in front of fans, and be with an environment that's loud and exciting, it's a ton of fun as a player.
Now, there's some of the fans want to know: does Adam Beckman have any hidden talents that people don't know about?
I'm pretty boring in that sense. I don't really have anything. Like I can't really play guitar. I don't really play video games much, so not really, unfortunately.
Um, Another question that people want to know is LA or Cincinnati? Who was your Super Bowl pick?
I was cheering for Cincinnati. I don't know. I kind of like the underdog story a little bit. Obviously, LA kind of loaded up and had all those big superstar key pieces, but it was a fun game to watch. So I wasn't too worried, or wasn't too like upset about it either way. But I think I was cheering for Cincinnati and Joe Burrow.
I was I'm kind of an underdog guy myself, so I was kind of rooting for him too.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice this year not to have to pick a certain side. There's certain players I'm not a fan of, but it was kind of nice to be able to just kind of sit back and relax.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's the best piece of advice that you've gotten either from Coach Army or from Dean Evanson?
It's a good question. I'm trying to think. Best piece of advice. I think one of the biggest things is just no matter what, you come each day and with a purpose, and try to earn it every day and get better every day. I think that's it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. I think you don't try not to take a practice off, or take a day off or anything like that. You just want to, when you're there, you want to really kind of grind to get better. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away from both Tim and Dean.
So some of our fans have younger kids that are looking at getting into the sport, or they're kind of wanting to know, my kid's interested, or I want to get them interested. So what advice would you have for some of those younger fans and younger kids that want to get into hockey, or the parents that want to get their children into hockey?
Yeah, obviously, might be a little bit biased, but just try it out. I think, it's such a fun sport, and, obviously playing the game is so much fun, but, the kind of the friendships and memories that you create is also something that you always get to remember. So I think, for sure, if you have that opportunity to definitely take it and try it out.
The last question I have is, what is something you want the Minnesota Wild fans to know about Adam Beckman? What's like the last thing you want to leave them with?
I don't know. That's just that, continue to work hard, and, hopefully get to play in the NHL one day and stay there, like I said earlier. I think that's just one of the biggest things that I think, a lot of us are really focused on, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me to be focused on.
I just want to take this time again to say thank you for joining me today. This really means a lot. You were actually the first player that I've ever gotten to interview, so it's been an honor that I got to interview you today. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
So thank you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Becky.
All right. Have a good day, Tom. See you.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
A special thank you to Adam Beckman and Mitchell Courtney. Want more great Minnesota Wild content from Crash.net? Check us out on the following Facebook pages.